Kicking out, Norfolluma's way, here comes Naden! Scramble! Tigers! Alex Twal! Alex Twal has ended up with a ball! Oh no! Unbelievable! One small step for man! One giant leap for Alex Twal!
Welcome to the ultimate Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Yes, you are, and it is Tuesday, and we know what that means. It is TinList Tuesday on the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast, proudly sponsored by the Standard Squeeze. I'm the Supercoach Brain, and the Supercoach Mattrix is with me. Bit of chaos in the team list, mate. How are you faring?
Oh, it's got nothing to do with the teams that were named. It's the teams that Freddie named that's really royally fucked me over. So
I think he's royally fucked nearly all of us over, to be fair. I think a lot of people were going into this round with like 14 and 15 thinking they're pretty good spot, and then you're stuck with 11. It's been brutal.
He's actually I got done worse on the first one, to be honest, because he does whatever everybody expects. But we all know Freddie's sitting there at about 2000th, and he was looking to fade Keon Kolomatangi, so he's brought him into Origin. That's about the only thing he's going to win this year, Supercoach.
I saw something on Twitter about Freddie. Apparently, if he was a Supercoach player, he'd be chasing last week's points all year. So he would have brought in Scotty Drinkwater and Tom Dearden or something like that this week.
He did.
He kind of did. I mean, he can't choose Dearden, can he? But yeah, he did bring Scotty Drinkwater into the Origin squad. So, guys, if you're obviously on, thank you for joining us. We've got a few people online, a few comments dropping in. If you have any questions throughout the show, drop them in there. But if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe to support the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like button as well. And if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify or Google or wherever it is that you get your podcast, hit that follow button and leave us a review. Also, let us know if you didn't hop on Sunday. Let us know how you went last week. Big scores. We'll go through the squeeze of the week very soon, mate. But we're going to talk Origin Game 3. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it, but we're going to talk Origin Game 3. There's plenty to talk about. Freddie's flipped the whole squad on its head, as he always does. There might be a bit of fire in Origin 3, I reckon, mate. So we'll touch on that. Round 19 ins and outs. There's plenty of them to talk about. We'll answer every single question that comes through as well regarding round 19 or Origin or whatever it is you want to talk about. And we'll talk trades and captains as well at the end. How did you finish up last week, mate?
Yeah, so last week, 1352, which I thought was really, really poor. But everybody sort of posts their scores when they score really well, but then don't post when they score poorly. So it was like top 20%. I moved down a few thousand spots. I think it could have been worse. So I'm back down to 7,000th. I've sort of hovered between 7,000th and 5,000th for probably 4 weeks, treading water. Hopefully this week, let's move. Let's try.
Yeah. Mate, there's going to be lots of teams caught off guard this week and might be scrambling to try and get 13. So you're in a pretty good spot. I've got 15, 19. I'm into 2,700th overall. So I feel like I've made some good ground up over the buys. So hopefully we can continue doing that. And we'll move into the top 1,000 hopefully in the next maybe 2-3 weeks. Shout out to the Standard Squeeze. If you have not, hop on their website at thestandardsqueeze.com. Use the code INSIGHT15 to get yourself 15% off. The 4N1s, I've got one here. Always have my drink in it every single pod, and I know Maddie does too. And we've also got the Standard Squeeze bottles as well. And speaking of the Standard Squeeze, the Squeeze of the Week winner, get this, goes out to Ned, coach of Ruatoria Raiders, with 1,754 points last week. That's good enough for 14th overall for the week, which is massive. So Ned, hit us up. Hit us up on socials, wherever you follow us, mate. Hop in our DMs and send your address across, and we'll get that Standard Squeeze combo pack out to you ASAP. Congratulations for winning that one. There also, Matty, is a change in leader for the Unlimited group. I keep feeling like I'm saying this every week. I feel like, but it's not Lane Train. It's not one of the regulars popping in here. It's actually a new one we haven't heard of. So someone's come from nowhere to claim first overall in the Unlimited League, and that's Robert, coach of the Widgie Grubs. He's moved himself into 41st overall and actually has an 80-point lead over Tim now, who's coach of the Lane Train. So Lane Train's been in the conversation all year. And then we've got Robert here coming in at the last minute doing a bit of a Stephen Bradbury. Everybody else shitting themselves. And Robert's come good at the back end of the season. So can he hold it out? Can he finish first in the unlimited group? Can he win himself a Supercoach ring? Can he win himself a episode at the end of the year with us on the podcast?
I mean, he's 41st overall. Hopefully he can win the whole thing.
That would be fucking awesome if he did. That would be great. It'd be awesome to have a winner just from, people that watch the podcast. That would be pretty cool. All right. Okay. So, State of Origin, mate. How are you feeling about Queensland at the moment? You guys only have a couple of small changes, so you essentially have the same squad.
Yeah. Again, the curse of Mattrix strikes again. Brought in AJ Brimson. He gets selected. As somebody that was fanboying a little bit at Origin 2 behind AJ there, I think he deserved it. It would have been probably a pretty good call to get Kalen Ponga, but I believe the call was made and he said, no, I was serious. I'm focusing on Newcastle this year. And a bit disappointing that Walsh isn't there. I suppose we all would have liked to see Walsh versus Addo-Carr again. But yeah, I suppose Flegler's injured, Big Red's in. Dearden's 18th man. Hopgood will get to hang around the team, get a bit of experience. I think he's a future Origin player. But yeah, I think that it was a clinical, probably a few pretty easy decisions to make for Billy. What do you think?
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's very clear that Billy Slater's done a great job, not only picking this team and picking and sticking for the series, but creating a culture within that Queensland squad that just turns up and does the job and does the hard work, like that. They seem to be pretty gelled really well, and Billy Slater's done a great job there. Brimson, bit of a kick in the nuts to owners or buyers like yourself and I know other people jumped on Brimson.
Yep.
It was a good trade and it made sense at the time. No one ever thought that this would happen. Walsh had the spot, but unfortunately these things happen in NRL and in Supercoach. So you've got to pivot. So Brimson, I mean, whilst he'll miss this week, he's going to be a guy you hold for the rest of the season, considering the Titans don't have any buys left anyway. So and
don't kick yourself too much if you've made the decision to bring in Brimson. Like, you didn't know Walsh was going to call him a beep. But you know what I mean?
No one knew that. Nobody knew
that. I mean, sorry. He was going to call Paddy Carrigan that. So
yeah. Well, supposedly. That's a funny one. We won't touch on that again, but Corey Horsburgh, well deserved, had a great season. Obviously, Flegler out injured, opened the door for him, so good on him. Yep. He brings a lot of, pardon the kind of joke here, but there's a lot of fire that he brings to this team. Mate, yeah, it is. It's very spicy.
So all I was trying to do was make you smile before we talk about our next topic, because
I know. It's rough.
Like, this looks like my Supercoach team when I finished about 40,000th that way.
Yeah, it feels a little bit that way. I mean, look, we've gone and made 7 changes to a squad of 18. So that just tells me that we've got no fucking idea what we're doing. And it, unfortunately, the reality is that this is going to be Freddie's last season. There is no way in the world that he is going to be able to redeem himself enough, just showing the fact that he's kind of struggled to put the best team on the park, and he's decided, hang on a second, we're down 2-0. We could get swept. This could be really important and a really good time for me to play the best 17. And he's gone and picked guys like Keon Kalamatangi, Cody Walker, and all of these other guys that deserve to be there in game 1. And now they're here in a dead rubber where you're risking putting them on the field to get in. They could get injured and fucking season could be over. Who knows, right? Hopefully not the case, but it's just weird to put your best team on the park in game 3 when there's everything to lose and nothing to gain.
Yeah, look, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but see, I wouldn't be wanting to drop guys like Nico's out of the question. Like, that's madness. Like, at least make him 19th man or something and just bring him in, bring him around the team. Surely he's going to be a future Origin player. Dropping blokes like Hudson Young, like, what's that going to do to him? Like, look,
rubbish.
You made the call on Hudson Young over Keon at the start. Just stick to your guns there. And Luai got done a little bit stiff, but I probably would have picked Cody Walker for starters. So
yeah, and I've said this a lot. A lot of people ask me about Luai and how I feel about Luai. I'm like, look, I feel like he was dudded. He was best on field for New South Wales, aside from Liam Martin in game 1, and then in game 2, he didn't really do too much wrong. It's just we were awful across the ground. And now he's been dropped for the bloke that should have been picked in game 1 after he actually played 2 good games.
Yep.
It just makes no sense to me. So anyway, New South Wales, you've got 7 blokes out. Sorry, go, Matty.
Can you tell me about Tina Turner getting picked?
Tina
Simply
Turner.
the best.
Who are we talking about here?
Simply the best. Bradman Best.
Yeah, but I'm not a... I don't know. Actually, it triggers me, kind of, him picking him. I feel like Freddie watches the weekend before. He watches the football the weekend before Origin's picked, and he goes, "Oh, that guy played well this week." It's like he doesn't watch any football before the weekend before he picks the team. It's fucking bizarre. And taking nothing away from Bradman Best, he's had good games here and there, but it just feels like he's been picked off the back of his hat-trick against a garbage team. That's all it feels like. Turbo being out, I mean, I get it. You've got to bring in a centre, but why not bring in... Did Matt Burton lose his spot because of the Bulldogs drubbing over the weekend? Because he's
Probably.
the best. He's the best pick at that position.
Has he been the 18th man the first 2 games?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now he loses his spot. Yeah, guaranteed. So anyway, Turbo out, Luai out, Payne Haas out injured. We're not quite sure. I saw a couple of questions in the chat. How long's Haas injured for? Not 100% sure. We haven't got scan results or they haven't been made public yet, so we'll see. Hopefully it's something small. I think that's what they expected, maybe a grade 1, maybe 2 weeks or something like that. So hopefully he's back for the run home. Junior Bolo's out too, which is weird. I don't know what he did to lose his spot. Hudson Young is the one that I feel like they should have stuck with, but I'm not upset about that at all from a Supercoach perspective because that plays into our plans beautifully. We'll talk about him a little bit later. You know who I feel really sorry for? Stefano Ituikamanu. He played 10 minutes. 10 minutes they played him in game 2, and they go, you know what? Sorry, you're going to lose your spot now. The bloke played fucking 10 minutes. What do you expect of him? He's like 20 years old. He's the next best thing they're talking about as a prop coming through the New South Wales system. Why not just give the bloke some experience? That one really pisses me off. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Makes no sense to me whatsoever.
No
and
idea.
Then Tyson Frizzell dropped him.
Like, I'm not sure I would have picked him to start off with, but you made the decision to pick him thinking that he was that guy. Is it the fact that he's not on a bye this week and you're like, oh, well, go play some club reps? Like,
I don't know. But yeah, Frizzell out too. I mean, Bradman Best coming in. Cody Walker, I understand, and I feel like he's deserved that. Should have happened game 1, but didn't. But I'm glad that he's getting a crack.
I'm not.
Yeah, not as I'm an owner too. I'm glad as a New South Welshman he gets a go, but yeah, that bit us in the ass, I think, Supercoach wise. Gerbo being back will do so much for New South Wales, I think, in the middle of the field. Regan Campbell-Gillard, I mean, I said in game 2 he probably should have been picked over Stefano. So he gets a crack this time. Keon Kalamatangi has completely earned it. Jacob Saifidi's come from absolutely nowhere. They picked him as well for some fucking unknown reason. Got no idea why.
I watched the game on the weekend. Must
have. And then this one, Clint Gutherson, they've picked him in the 17 jersey. So what are they going to do with him? What are they going to do? He could literally sit on the bench and play 0 minutes in game 3 because he's a Mr. Fix-It on the bench. So if no one gets injured and no one ends up playing out of position, then there's no need for Gutho on the bench.
Look, I'm just excited to see Gutho at lock.
I mean, all the Queenslanders would be excited to see Gutho at lock as well. You may as well play him at prop. Just let him take the first hit up of the game. Just throw him out there, Freddie. Just do it. I'll tell you the one thing maybe that I do like out of this team. There's a couple of things, but Cam Murray starting in 13 makes me happy.
Yep.
I feel like he's such a better pick in the 13 jersey. He's an 80-minute lock. The guy's got a motor on him. He has a crack. Quick play the balls are going to be good for the play the ball speed for New South Wales. Like, everything is good about that move.
But again, I see you selecting... Oh, I see Freddie selecting Cam Murray. Great call. Why pick Isaiah Yeo? Get a specialist edge and just play Cam Murray. Like,
yeah. I mean, playing 80 in Origin's tough, but it's a completely different league than playing 80 at club. But yeah, I mean, I'd say they probably just didn't want to drop Isaiah Yeo because, like, he's kind of a leader within the group. So they're probably thinking, well, Nathan Cleary's going to be back next year. We want Isaiah Yeo at starting lock next year, considering that connection, the Penrith connection and all the shit they talk about.
I can't wait to see Luai play again next year. So
yeah, I reckon he's done. But anyway, mate, that is my rant. Thank you for coming to my TED talk on how bad Freddie Fittler's selections were for New South Wales Game 3. It was a good time. I enjoyed myself. I actually feel really good about it now. I feel better. I just needed to get that off my chest. So before we talk teams, mate, shout out to the guys over at NRL Supercoach Fanatics. We'll be providing a fair bit of content for them in the coming weeks and months, and obviously as we move into the next season and things like that. So if you haven't joined the Fanatics group on Facebook, jump in there. Good bunch of guys. You can actually get plenty of feedback from them as well, and chuck your team in there, ask for some feedback. Join the BBL Legends as well if you're going to listen to our BBL pod or play BBL Supercoach at the end of the year. Love me some Christmas time cricket, Matty. There's nothing better than the Christmas tree up in the lounge room and just watching. You just got the BBL on the screen, especially the ones where you got the double back to back as well. What a time!
Yeah, I just love that it's on every night.
So good, so good. I'm looking forward to it. Should be good. Got to get through the rest of this bloody winter first, though. So, speaking of, mate, let's get into teams, shall we? Tigers Sharks at CommBank.
Yeah. Speaking of ice cold, Tigers. Let's go.
Yeah, correct. Who's your tip in this one? Do I even need to ask? It's got to be the Sharks, right?
Yeah. So I'm actually going to look at odds of Sharks 32 plus. So.
Yeah, what's that paying?
Oh, about $1.40.
Yeah, bro, I was going to say there's not even any value in that. A few changes, I guess, here. The swing in the axe as they should after they got drubbed 74-0. Twile's out suspended, obviously, but David Norfoluma and Brent Naden have both been dropped. And what makes no fucking sense to me, and I'm going to continue my rant on, is Tommy Talau coming in and being picked at centre. Can someone explain to me why we're putting a bloke back in the team that has already said he's leaving next year? He's already leaving. He's gone to Manly. Why are we not bringing in a young bloke? We're coming last, and we'll finish last, to just get some experience under his belt. Why are we picking Tommy Talau for? Makes no sense to me.
And young blokes, you've got Blore moved to the bench.
I know.
When Bateman was
moved to
good,
an edge.
Like he was playing all right in the middle.
Yeah, I think he forced it a little bit. Last week he was shit house. He forced it a lot. I think he actually 2 weeks in a row he's really tried to force it a lot and
Your
fucked
whole
up.
team was shit house last week.
Yeah, they were, no doubt. Bateman to an edge doesn't fix the problem though. But anyway, that's okay. If I was a Bateman owner, I'd be a little bit more concerned now, if I'm completely honest. A lot of people bought Bateman off the back of the fact that he was going to be playing lock and playing in the middle. So now a little bit less work rate for Bateman on the edge, a little bit more maybe attacking upside, but yeah, less base. So keep an eye on Bateman moving forward, I think. Sharks, Cam McInnes, our boy, moves to lock because Dale Finucane found himself another suspension. What a time.
Got a question from Chloe Nicholson.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on Cam McInnes as a pod? And she only has 10 this week with 3 selected for Origin. So she's got like Mattrix shafted in round 13. I really like Cam McInnes as a pod. But the thing is, you've got to be probably prepared to trade him out. I like him for as long as Dale Finucane's out. He doesn't offer enough on the bench. He's not Ryan Madison.
Finucane is only out for 2 weeks, 2 week suspension.
Yep.
So unfortunately, I feel like, I mean, look, if you want to have a crack at the next 2 weeks and you've got trades up your sleeve, go for it. I don't mind McInnes at all. He's got good work rate. Probably should have a New South Wales jumper, to be fair. But not
That's
for 2
probably
weeks.
the call. That's probably the call. Like if you've got 14 or 15 trades, then I love it. If you've got less than that, you probably just can't afford to get out of him.
No.
It's a good pod. Like it is a bit of a pod. Like it's spicy.
It's a massive pod. It is a massive pod. And we love Cam McInnes here at Inside Fantasy Sports. I think everybody knows that. But not for me. Not for me at the back end of the season with minimal trades, I don't think, because we have to move him. The only other changes here for the Sharks, Braden Hamlin Ueli is out, and Toby Rudolph's back. So he came back through Cup last week. So personally, I think you've got to get yourself a bit of this back line for the Sharks, whether it's fucking Ramian or Katoa, or whether it's Talakai or Mulatalo or Will Kennedy. You've got to get one of those 5. Everyone has Nico, but you know that back 5 are going to fire this week against the Tigers.
So I don't have anybody from the back line from the Sharks.
Not one.
I've only got Britton Nickera.
Okay.
And Nico Hines.
2 good options, I mean. But
scares me though.
Yeah, I mean last week Ronaldo Mulatalo had to kind of fall on one to score and get 80. So he didn't exactly get himself involved. So if he has a game where they go right all game instead of going left for some reason, he could end up with 30. So if I didn't have him, he'd be a guy you could probably antipod, really.
Yeah, and that's probably what I'm going to look to do. I got Val that 1 week when everybody went Mulatalo. very happy I went Val. He's coming off a couple rip snorters. But, yeah, I've probably just got to miss out on Mulatalo and watch it through the slits of my fingers.
Yeah, I think so. Be a tough one to watch. But again, if you've got Nico, you're probably going to VC or see him, right? Like, the way I see it, Nico, this week, if you have 13 or less, you're not going to cop an AE, so you can afford to just VC Nico with no cost there, or no loss. If you have more than 13, which I don't think many teams will this week, you could just straight see Nico and just not worry about the rest of the week, because there really aren't too many standout captain options this week, I don't think. But that's my plan. I'll be VCing him, I think, because I've got exactly 13. Actually, I've got 14. But then I'll probably nuff out Munro that I'm bringing in if Nico does well. So I'll talk a little bit about that later. What are your thoughts on Buller? We called it a couple of weeks ago to get off him. I mean, he's got 151 break even now. Even though he's a number this week, I feel like people are going to get caught out being so short on numbers that they're going to be prioritizing actually getting 13 on the park.
Look, I don't think this is the week to get rid of him. If you've got, you're not going to get rid of him to get in an Origin bloke this week. You're just going to have to cop the loss and hope that he does all right this week. The Sharks' defense isn't fantastic. Maybe Jareem, pulls something off. I think you've got to hold him this week if you've held him through, I suppose, whatever it was last week, the 40 the week before. I think there was a buy in there somewhere. If you're there now and you've held him through all this, you've got to hold him for one more week and then you've got to get rid of him. You've got to cop probably the 80K.
80K, you reckon? I reckon it could be 110 plus. If Buller gets 30 or 40 again, he's losing 100K.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks where he would lose 150 to 200K in 2 weeks.
But if you're holding him, you think that he's going to score more than 30.
And look, the Sharks aren't a defensive stalwart, are they? They're not. They league points as much as anyone else in the comp. So, but yeah, I agree with you. If you need the number, just hold Buller, cop the loss. You still bought him at fucking 200K. Who cares? Just count your cash. It's not a big deal. Last one for me, Blake Brayley, and I think I saw a comment in here somewhere. I'm going to try and find it. Fourth World.
This is the time of the year every year that we talk about bringing Blake Brayley in. It happens every year.
Yep. My problem with Blake Brayley is that he's 530K. Yeah. I feel like I could get the same from Reed Marnie, as strange as that sounds. From what we've seen from Reed Marnie, he's overplayed his hand a lot and tried to do a bit too much. But I think if Reed Marnie, when he realizes he just needs to simplify his game and kind of get back to basics, which he will, he's a smart enough footy player, he'll put out the same score as Brayley.
Reed's better than Blake, but let's be honest, Reed plays for the Doggies.
Yeah, terrible team.
That's the only difference.
Yeah. I don't mind Blake Brayley, but I'm not going to look there. But the good thing is we've both got two good hookers. So
Blake Brayley is forever a draft pick for me. Yep. Nothing to do, never becomes classic relevant.
Yeah, 57 average for the season. I mean, that's kind of Reed Marnie numbers, really, isn't it? Get Reed Marnie in. Yeah, that's right. All these guys that are in the 450 to 550K mark as a hooker.
Brayley kind plays this week, I suppose, is the big thing. But I don't think Reece Robson and Reed Marnie are going to shit the bed more, and Blake Brayley's going to, average 80 for the rest of the year. Whatever you've got is probably sideways, unless you have Sonny Luke, in which case 300K is still a long way up. Yep,
for sure. Moving on to the next game at Wynn Stadium, Dragons versus the Raiders. Who do you see winning this one, mate?
The Raiders by probably 32.
Could be. Are you looking for the 32 plus market on them as well?
Yeah, actually, yeah. You get $1.83 on them at Mattrix bet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good. Hey, don't you're going to get people jumping on asking for odds and stuff soon, so be very careful. The one that I found funny about this, and as a non-owner, I'm cheering, but I'm sure there's plenty of owners out there. Tyrell Sloan just dropped for Paul Turner.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
I don't get it.
I mean, Sloan's not that good.
He's coming off some good scores, funnily enough.
He's coming off some good Supercoach scores, but he's not that good. That individual try that he scored last week was the best thing to come out of the Dragons last week.
Yeah. Yeah, and the problem is when you leak that many points, the fullback has something to answer to. And I think probably defensively, that's the move that they've made is going, well, you know what? If we're going to leak 52 points or whatever it was, the fullback's getting dropped. So
Paul Turner could be an interesting enough option as well, I was thinking. 285k, 5'8" centre wing, gives you a bit of flexibility. If you've got somebody like Cody Walker and you're just looking to get rid of him, if you've got somebody in your centre wing, like I suppose Billy Smith, you can still bank 80k. If you've got Jules in your second row and you can use your 5'8" centre wing, Paul Turner could sit there at the end of the year and he could be good. Like, who knows? We haven't seen it. I don't hate Paul Turner as a player.
Yeah, Paul Turner was at the Titans, I think it was last year, year before. So good to see him getting a crack at the Dragons. I mean, they may as well. Not really doing much else, a bit like the Tigers and the Bulldogs at the moment. It's kind of like the Tigers, the Dragons, and the Bulldogs are in reserve grade already. Relegation system probably needs to kick in very soon for those three teams. And you may as well just blood some young blokes and see how they go.
I thought Paul Turner was older than that. He's only 23. It's been in the system for a while. Yeah.
Sully comes back in. Sullivan now moves to half because Ben Hunt is on origin duties. Jack Bird remains out with that knee issue as well. So, I mean, look, if you haven't sold by now, move on. Jack Bird's definitely a sell, an ASAP sell. I don't see him playing much footy for the rest of the season.
I know we're talking about Classic, but do you drop him in draft too? This guy just never plays.
Yeah, I'd be dropping him in draft. Absolutely.
Is that because you want to pick him up and you're in the same comp, or do you generally believe that?
I'm not touching the bloke. Not going anywhere near him. If anyone listens to the Magic Sponge for the NRL Physios podcast, he's been saying for about a month that the issues that Jack Bird has with his knee, with the arthritis, with the all of the other issues, meniscus problems now, I'd jump very quickly off him.
I'm just saying, my 2 second rowers, a couple of my second rowers are Jordan Ricky and Jack Bird, so I'm in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, move off quick. Corey Horsburgh, obviously out on origin duty for the Raiders. Good on him. But I mean, for owners, people got him for the bye period. So kind of sucks for them, but I don't have him. Mariota moves to lock.
I like Mariota. I think he's great.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Emre Goulart's a prop as well, which is an interesting one. I mean, I've seen some people asking whether Goular as a player is enough. I'd say no.
Do you think
he moves
Mariota's a play?
Yeah, but the other problem with Mariota is that he's also, I mean, he could move back to get 10, 15 bench minutes too.
Yeah,
both of these guys are
an issue. Like Paul Turner's gonna fuck right off if he gets dropped. You're right. Good call.
A couple of messages in the chat that Sloane's injured, not dropped. I've completely missed that. Calf injury apparently. So. He'll be back, which is even better for your Paul Turner take. That's perfect. Yeah. Only other changes here for Dragons Raiders. Saulo is out with the HIA, so he's going to be out for the 11-day stand down, unfortunately. So he misses this week, and he's replaced by Trey Mooney. So, I mean, we didn't really see it from the Sharks last week, but we know that the Dragons' left edge defense is awful and the worst left edge in the comp. So do you target or bring in potentially a guy on the right for the Raiders? Do you look at a Matty Timoko? We've got a few good options there. Is that a smoky pod really that you could hold for the rest of the year? Because he's pretty cheap now.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I actually looked up I was actually typing in Matty Timoko before because Sean Clark in the chat was asking what centre wing would you buy with 430k to free up some cash for Fafita. I really hope that you can find an extra 16k for Matty Timoko.
Yep. Agreed. All right. The reason we're all here is this reason. Hudson Young, the only Raider outside of Tapine, surely. And also, SC buy of the round, Hudson Young. Mate, for anybody watching, Matty sculling his beer live on YouTube. That's how we do things here. Hudson Young. Hudson Young.
Sucking on my ball sack.
He should be in. Anyone who takes this seriously, you should be buying in this week. Not only because he's versing the Dragons, and the Dragons concede average of 60 points to the left second row or left edge second rowers in the comp this year. The next 4 matches for Hudson Young are St. George Illawarra Dragons, the Warriors, the Newcastle Knights, the West Tigers. Like, if that's not the best 4 games, I mean, Warriors, yeah, they're okay, but there's some juicy matchups there. And then he's got the Melbourne Storm, which is going to be a tough one, but then the Bulldogs after that. Like 5 of these next
Forever
week is
young.
huge.
I want to be forever young.
I'm clipping that whole bit, and I can't wait to put that up on socials. It's going to be elite.
Mate, honestly, how good is it that Hudson Young is not selected? He has the best run home. I had him in round 11. Didn't think that he was a skerrick of a chance of getting picked for Origin. He got selected for Origin, broke my heart, and he is back for round 19. This is elite.
What a time.
This is so
what a time
good.
to be alive. You come for the Supercoach bands, but you stay for the Mattrix singing. I think that's why people come. You're going to have to pull out a little bit of singing, I reckon, every episode now. You've opened the door. You've set the precedent. So we're going to roll with it. But yes,
I've usually had about this many at karaoke too. So.
Yeah, fair. I mean, on a serious note, right? Let's talk serious for a second. Like Hudson Young is coming off a 76 and a 95, I think it is. The guy scores tries for fun. We talked about him in the preseason, saying there's no way in the world that Hudson Young manages to score as many tries as he did last year, because that's all of the points that it came from last year. Had a 60-odd average, but this year his base has gone up, and the Raiders have honestly one of the best runs home. So get him now.
He's playing the Dragons.
Yep, 18 break even this week.
The Dragons.
Grab him this week. And I mean, I would love to be selfish and just say, nah, rubbish bloke, and just pick him up on the side so no one knows. But I mean, we wouldn't be doing our job here, would we? If we didn't let everybody know about Huddy.
Oh, this is how we do it. I wouldn't be able to contain it. I'm like walking down the street going, Hudson Young? Hudson Young?
You got a shirt that says Hudson Young on it? You got a shirt with his head on it or something?
I need one.
Yeah, we'll get one, mate.
Can someone draw that up for me? No,
Mate.
I'm just this is a gift from the Supercoach gods.
Yep. Speaking of, let's move on. Eels versus Bulldogs, a very nice matchup. And imagine if bloody Clint Gutherson and Mitchell Moses were picked, as we expect that they were going to be playing this matchup against the Bulldogs coming off a flogging. This would be a nice matchup.
I love biplaning.
Awful. I mean, Gutho, Moses, Regan, Campbell, Gillard, all out on Origin duty. Good on them. That's great. But bloody terrible for my Supercoach team.
Oh, and for a dead rubber too, like it just gives you a bad aftertaste. Like I would be happy for Gutho if it meant anything. Like he'll probably never be seen in Origin again after playing the best 8 minutes of football you've ever seen in your life. So
yeah. Sean Russell goes to fullback, which will be interesting because I like Sean Russell. So we'll see how he goes at fullback for the week. Obviously not enough option and not cheap. So we won't look at him. But Isaac Lumi could be one of the best enough options as well at centre wing, because he's only going to play 1 or 2 games and then he'll be out. So
he's
I don't mind
played
that.
one game, hey?
Yes.
He played one early. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, like round 2 or 3 or something like that. I think he played. Let me tell you
he had a stinker.
He did. Ryan Madison at 5'8". Don't like that at all. Not a fan.
I like it because it might bring his price down. I just hate that round 27 buy. I just can't get on board.
I've already got too many Eels to worry about bringing in more Eels. So Matto at 5'8". If you're thinking about Matto this week, and I actually have spoken to a couple of people that were keen on Matto this week, I would hold off personally. The last time he came back at 5'8", he scored 40-odd. You'd rather picking him in the middle. Even if he's off the bench, he plays 55 to 60 off in the middle of the field off the bench. He's a good pick. So just not at 5'8" for me. Sean Lane's back though, which is good. So this, let me ask you this. Sean Lane being back, he's off the bench. Is the Cardi party finally over?
Yep. Yeah, it's time to go. They prefer Lane over Cartwright. Everybody prefers Lane over Cartwright. Yeah, the Cardi party's over. But it was a great ride. It
was. It nearly feels like about a week-long bender at this point.
Yeah.
Andrew Davies on the right side, which is the reason why I think Cardi suffers. But Sean Lane, I mean, look, if we didn't have so many good Eels options in Moses, Gutho, Dylan Brown's back in 3-4 rounds or whatever it is, and also they've got a shit run home. Matto and Lane would be much higher owned, I think, which makes them pods. But I don't even know whether I want to go there with the run home for them.
If Lane come back 4 weeks ago, I would have been all over it like white on rice. But yeah, now I just can't. It's too late in the season. There's that round 27 bye looming. I'm going to want a guy that I pay that much money for probably to play in that week.
Yeah.
I just can't do it, especially coming off the bench. So I'm going to want 2 weeks of maybe him playing shit and then getting him round 25 only for him to have a bye round 27. Yeah. Too much hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Andrew Davey seems to be playing on the right side at the moment. Salty mentioned that Cardi can shift both sides, which is true. It'll just be interesting to see whether they shake up those combinations or whether they just leave Andrew Davey on the right. Bryce Cartwright can also play off the bench. He's pretty versatile. So I don't know whether Davey can do as much as Bryce Cartwright can. Might be a kind of a downside to Cardi, I think. But for everybody who hasn't actually been keeping up with the news, Dylan Brown, 7-game suspension by the NRL. So, which means that he's already served 3 of those. So the 4th one will be this weekend. He'll be back around 23. So what does this mean for Dylan Brown moving forward? I mean, he comes back in his first game to verse the Dragons.
Yeah. So that's enticing, but 815K to get him for 3 games, it's going to be hard with how many trades. If you have plenty of trades in the bank and you can do a 3-week play for Dillbags, I tell you what, the Dragons game is what you want him for. So let's just see where we all sit and revise it again when he comes back.
Yep. One last one for you. I know you're not a Gutho owner, but people are selling him this week. They're moving on from him. They're basically taking their cash. Gutho's come off 300s. He's still got a break even of, I think, 40 or 39 or something. The downside, I guess, to Gutho is that he misses this week and he'll miss round 27, which is 2 pretty bloody important weeks, really. It's kind of the reason why we bought him. Now, the one thing, actually, firstly, let me ask you, if you're a Gutho owner, do you sell this week? Because a lot of people are selling to get Will Kennedy and free up cash.
No, I sell him round 23 or 24.
Yeah, me too. Okay, cool. We agree on that. He does miss round 27 and he does miss round 19, but he has the Gold Coast Titans in round 20, the North Queensland Cowboys. Then he's got the Storm, which is a bit of a tricky matchup, but then he's got the Dragons. So you'd argue a few of those matchups are actually quite nice for Gutho, and he's involved in nearly everything the bloke doesn't yet, especially with Dylan Brown out.
So I trade him out after the Dragons matchup.
Yeah, that's me too.
Is that 24?
That'll be 23.
Yeah, I trade him out
round
after
23.
That.
Yeah, so round 24, 5, 6 is tough. They come up against, I think, the Panthers, Broncos, and someone else, Storm maybe. So it's a tough run home for the Eels. But yeah, 23 is the sell, I think, after round 23. If you're VCing Nico, I feel like genuinely the only maybe 2 options for captaincy, if Nico miraculously by 0.5% chance of happening gets sub 70 or something like that, I feel like Hopgood probably could be your captain for the week. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I'm just struggling to see another option.
I was looking at C&K. I just know he's got a 30 in him, and it's really risky. Hey, like Hudson Young, there's a few options out there. Hudson Young against the Dragons is probably one. Jermaine Hopgood's another. Chance Nickel-Clockstad. Asako? There is a few options.
Yeah, so, I mean, we forgot to mention SJ could be out this weekend for the Warriors. What are your thoughts on that? The Warriors, they're 1 to 17. I mean, it hurts people because that's what they wanted him for this round, didn't they? A lot of people picked him over Moses.
Sorry, C&K. I don't care about most people.
I reckon it hurts C&K.
Yep.
SJ is so good at squaring up the line. I reckon it hurts Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, and I reckon it hurts C&K as well with SJ being out. So Ronald Volkman probably comes in. He's on the extended bench. But so essentially, they've basically said SJ, his partner's pregnant. And the good thing, I guess, is we'll know relatively early on whether he travels or not. So with the baby on the way, he won't travel if things are looking a little bit close or whatever. So you'll find out early enough. But in a week where we're just losing people left, right, and center, it really hurts for SJ owners to lose him as well. Because he could have been a captaincy option this week against an Eels team without Gutho, Moses, Regan Campbell-Gillard. That could have been a nice play.
Yep.
So, alrighty, Rabbitohs, Bulldogs, no Walker, no Murray, no Cook, no Keon Kalamatangi, all gone on Origin duty, which means that Hawkins comes in at 5'8", Saliva Havili plays hooker, love it, and Shaq Mitchell come in to play prop. Speaking of actually, before I talk about that, Tass back. There's a couple of big talking points here. So Tass is back after his partner gave birth. Tyrone Munro has held the right wing spot, which means that Richie Kennar is out, which we did not see coming at all. So
a gift from the gods.
Is it though? Because a lot of people jumped on Kennar.
I didn't. I feel so good about it. I wanted to. I told
you
people
were very fucking close too as well, because I remember we were talking about it and you were like, oh, I'll just get him, or maybe I'll wait a week. And you waited a week and it played out beautifully for you.
Yeah, because I just need to make sure that he played this week.
Yeah. And he did not. He has not been named. He's in the 18 on the extended bench. So, and they're talking very highly of Munro. I've seen some and listened to some podcasts and talked to some people that said that they reckon that Munro could hold the spot for the rest of the year. They're so high on this bloke, like generational talent type high on this bloke. So he could have it. Could be his. So it might not be enough that you're looking for, but it could be a 200k cheapie that makes you cash and actually will be a playable option. Which is even better.
Andy.
Yeah. Now the other thing is Lovett, who could be a really, really good enough option. I don't see him holding a spot in the 17 outside of the next fortnight.
No chance.
Yeah, and he's come from nowhere to start. I don't see him starting either. He might start off the bench and there might be a bit of shuffling, either 24 hours out or 1 hour out from this game starting, but could be a perfect option. If you're looking for, I think it's front row or second row. I can't remember exactly what. Is he? Second. If you're looking for a second row enough, that could be ideal. Unfortunately for me, I have Matt Dory.
That could free up the cash for Feeder next week.
Yeah, it could. And that's what everybody's starting to think about at the moment. That's why, what's his name? The Storm, Jack Howarth. That's why he's in the top 5 most bought this week. That's why, who's the other guy from the Knights, the dual front row, second row? Nuff that we talked about. Yeah, Miles Martin. Yep. So that's why the Nuffs are starting to appear now, because you've got guys like David Fafita, we've got Munster, we've got Harry Grant, people want Asako, Val Holmes, all of these origin guys now are coming back into the frame. So people need cash.
So I know this is out of tune, and that's what I do. Let's go. Cam Munster, Harry Grant, David Fafita. Is Harry Grant a must-own?
No, not a must-own. I'd like to own him. If I have a trade, I'll use it to get him. But the thing is, if you've got Damien Cook in your team, a lot of people are selling Cook too, mind you, this week. If you've got Damien Cook in your team, he's going to miss round 19, round 20, and round 26. So do you want to pick up a guy that's going to play a guy of Harry Grant's quality at the same price that will play 2 extra games? I think makes sense. It makes sense as a move, but I'm not going to call Harry Grant a must-have. I don't think any hooker this year is a must-have personally.
Okay. Is Cam Munster a must-have? 660k. Fuck all break even.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Munster is Grant isn't.
654k, 52 break even.
Yeah. I'll say Munster is, I think. Especially with Cody, with the buys coming up, he's going to play 2 less games than Munster, pending rests, of course. I don't know. I feel like Munster could get you 150 at any point, couldn't he?
Yep. He has.
And we've always been big on ceiling.
So you've talked me out of it. Shouldn't bring one of these guys in this week because of what we've spoke about as how brutal Origin can be. And at the very least, if New South Wales are getting pumped, they're going to want to throw hands. And yeah, they're going to be hitting each other extremely hard just in case there's an injury. Don't wait a week. Because I was thinking if Harry Grant, David Fafita, and Munster was a must-have, I was going to have to get one this week. While there's an extra trade on offer, I was going to go like a Cody Walker to Munster, freeze up 100k, and see what you can do. But I think just in case one of them gets injured, because I would hate to trade Cam Munster back in and then have to trade him back to somebody like Cody Walker. That'd be devastating. 2 trades at this time of the year would be absolutely devastating.
And I think a lot of people are thinking, I've got to get one in. And similar to you, like if you want 3 or 4 players in the next fortnight, you probably have to go early on one, right? the issue for me is that, you've hit the nail on the head when you're talking about the fact that Origin 3, there's going to be fire in this game. There's going to be punch-ons. There's going to be suspensions. New South Wales are going to come out to play, I feel, in Game 3. They're not going to want to get swept. And Queensland. They're going to come out red hot. They played some good footy this series. They're not going to bow down. They would love to sweep New South Wales in this series. Did you know that in that massive run where Cam Smith, Slater, Cronk kind of era, that dynasty era where Queensland won however many it was in a row, I've tried to remove it from my memory. They only ever swept New South Wales once in 10 years.
Mm.
So this is going to mean a lot. This is going to mean a lot for Queensland. It's going to mean a lot for Queensland. So I feel like it's going to be a pretty heated battle, and there could be injuries, there could be suspensions, there could be biffs, which would be great to see a biff in Origin. That's what we watch. But yeah, you got to watch Origin 3. You can't pick a bloke up that's playing Origin 3 without the risk of them getting injured or suspended.
And not before Game 3, because if you do it before Game 1 or 2, you've planned to have him out for other weeks, and you know when he's not going to be there. Yeah, you probably just need to wait.
Yeah. Let's speak about the Bulldogs very quickly. I mean, there's not really much to talk about here, but I mean, Toby Sexton has been signed effective immediately and has come straight into the 7 jersey for the Bulldogs this weekend, which I think is a great signing. I've spoken openly about the fact that I would have loved him at the West Tigers. Bulldogs and Gus obviously have done a good job to get him over there. He was wasting away for the Titans in Queensland Cup, so that's a really good signing. I like that. Rajab has been dropped. Avarillo to fullback, which means Tapine and Braden Burns are in the centres. Another good enough option could be Blake Wilson, who will completely lose his position as soon as Josh Adokar comes back into the team after Origin. So there's another good CTW nuff for you that'll play this week and give you a number and then disappear. And then Hayes Perham and Paul Alamotti have both been dropped. And I know people were holding them for round 19. So they've swung the axe. Old Soraldo is not very happy after the flogging last week, which, hey, fair enough.
It hurts. What about Carl Oluwapu? Generational talent.
Yeah, in New South Wales Cup. Sounds like it, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, Tigers supporters are probably hoping that they pick him up.
No thanks.
They only lost by 60. They only lost by 60 odd last week. So
yeah, 66. They're way ahead of us. They got 8 complete points on us. What I would have done for 8 points last week, I would have been very happy with 8 points. Oh dear. Anyway, that's all right. Jake Preston is the last one I want to talk about because he's in the top 5 most sold players this week. He's got a 90 break even. He's about 590k. Are people now just kind of? Is it Preston to Hudson Young? Is that the move? Is that what people are doing?
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for revealing my trades.
Oh, sorry. Well, I mean, I'm doing that too. So, yeah. I mean, it was up to whether I drop Isaiah Papali'i or whether I drop Jacob Preston. Both of them will probably go at some point in the run home. I just need to decide this week who goes and who stays. And I feel like, I don't know, I might even talk myself into moving IPAP for Hudson Young. And then I do Preston to Fafita next week. I don't know.
I don't hate IPAP. Like, he goes through the workload. I think he's better with Luke Brooks out. I genuinely think IPAP's better without Luke Brooks.
Let me ask you this. I've liked IPAP on the right edge, which was the edge that he did all his work last year for the Eels. And it's clearly the edge he feels more comfortable on. With Bateman being a right edge second rower, does IPAP move back to the left? And if so, does that make him a trade?
We'll just wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, IPAP's break-even's, 45, 50, something like that, whereas Preston's 90. So that's the reasoning behind who I'm moving and who I'm keeping this week.
Look, IPAP's worst game is probably going to be 40. He just doesn't have the ceiling that, like, Preston's got hundreds before, but he also plays for the Doggies. I do feel more comfortable moving Preston. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Preston's the one that'll go. And then I might even be able to...
Preston plays this week, and I was holding him for this week, which is a little frustrating. But when generational talent Hudson Young comes along, you've just got to jump on.
I'm so excited about Hudson Young. We're gonna maybe unfollow us on Twitter for that game when that game's on because it's gonna cop a pepper, and I reckon plenty of Hudson Young chat. It's gonna be trending on Twitter.
He's gonna get 34 this week, but the best 34 you've ever seen in your life
with a try as well.
Yeah.
Last game, mate. Titans Dolphins. C-Bus who's winning this one, mate? Titans, Dolphins? I reckon Dolphins get up in this one.
No, I like the Titans. I know that with their origin guys away, I just like the way that the Titans play. They've looked good. Dolphins are going to be missing their best players too.
Hammer.
And
Kafusi.
the other guy that's injured, Gilbert. Like, he's not playing either. Yeah, like, I know that they've been missing him for 4 weeks, but yeah, he is their best player. Look, I think the Titans get up.
Yep. Brimson, Tino, Fafita, Fodawaker, all out for the Titans. Philip Sammy's back in after he had that injury in the warm-up, I think it was, last week. He was out really late. Jaden Campbell to fullback is nice for the Titans. I don't mind that. Cleese Haas and little baby Tino, Isaac, Fasil Malawi to start. So great. If you had them as your 4th front rower or something and you were hoping that they get a crack in round 19, then that's been a good play. But that's for Titans. And I do feel like the Dolphins might get up in this one, so I might go against you here. Hammer on origin duty, replaced by Aiken at centre. Jeremy Marshall-King's been named. Now, I know that there was word where Wade Bennett came out, I think, in the press conference and said that they were preparing to be without JMK for the season, but they've named him in this one. Apparently, it hasn't been as bad as they thought it was going to be.
And that's good. I'm happy for him. I just, like, when you hear Wayne Bennett start to say, hey, we're probably going to be without this guy for the year, the alarm bells went off, and I just started thinking, yeah. I was actually looking at JMK this week. I would have really liked it because I think he's all right for the run home. But I was probably thinking that when the Dolphins were playing a bit better footy too.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they could flick a switch and turn back on, but I just don't know whether it's going to be this week. I think this could be a bit of a scrappy game. Something like a 24-22 kind of game where a few points are scored, but it's a bit of a shit show. So Damo must have just hopped on and missed all the Hudson Young talk over the last 50-odd minutes. Yes, he is a play. Absolutely. Get him in. Now, the only thing you need to consider for Hudson Young...
I'm not that big of a fan, really.
The only thing you've got to consider with Hudson Young is he has a bye round next week. So the Raiders are off round 20. So if you've got a Tarpany, you've got a Horsburgh, maybe you still have Jared Croker for some reason. I do. And then you get Hudson Young in.
For that reason.
Hey, he's been good. I talked about him on Sunday. That's 4 Raiders players, and then Rabbitohs also have the bye in round 20. And if you've got 3 or 4 of those blokes, you're going to be very short next week. So just be very wary about that, and then disregard it completely because Hudson Young is the GOAT, and you just get him in. It doesn't even matter what is going on. I could have 12 players in round 20. I don't give a shit. Hudson Young's coming in my team.
Yeah.
Don't care. The other only changes, I guess, are Kafusi out with HIA. Wallace and Milford are now back from suspension for the Dolphins as well. So they're big ins. Not Milford, really, but Wallace is. And Herman SASA will start. So I guess the only other talking points here are Valence Tavare. They'll be very happy with the fact that Brenko Lee was apparently training with the reserve squad this week. So watch Brenko Lee be named on Sunday afternoon with an hour to go. And Valence Tavare is going to get shoved into the 17 jersey off the bench and play 7 minutes. So that would be great.
Look, it's a handy number if you have him. You're probably happy with that news. So.
Yeah, I picked up Valence Tavare for that reason because I thought maybe he would be able to get some extended time in that position, but also for the fact he played in round 19. Last one for me is Azarko, man. What are your thoughts on Azarko? Because you're an owner?
Yep. I'm an owner. Happy to hold. Honestly, could be like the Titans leak a lot of points. Does he run at Cam Pereira this week?
Or right wing? Yeah, he does. Yep.
Yeah. He's a captain option for me.
Yeah, and I think with such slim pickings in the captaincy, if you're VCing Nico Hines and you've got Azarko in your team, he's your captain, I think, for the week, for sure. Break even in the hundreds. I would still argue you could buy him now this week. Yeah. I mean, you've still got him at a discount. I was never buying him at 820K or whatever it was, but I can tell you now, I'd buy him at 740 or 750 or whatever he is. I don't care about the 100 break even. He could hit that this week.
725.
Yeah. A few people saying that Valence Tavare is killing Azarko. And yeah, I get that. I think most centers kill most wingers.
But I've also felt like I have said that, you know what, Asako's not going to do it another week. Asako's not going to do it another week. Round 4, Asako's not going to do it another week. And you want to know what he did? it every
He did
week.
it another week. Yeah, no, I agree. I keep looking at Azarko because I haven't had him all season. And I'm thinking, shit, I hope this guy just flops because I'm anti-potting him basically at this point now. They're getting flogged.
Chasing last week's points. He's scoring 70. He averages more points than Val Holmes.
He's there. So they've been flogged the last 4 weeks, or sorry, -1. They've been flogged in 3 games, right? And he's still put up 60s and 70s every single week as a winger. Like, that's crazy talk, man. Like that's a guy you just keep in your center wing for the season.
And whereas we're talking about the Titans have been playing pretty good footy, the Titans haven't been playing pretty good defense. And Cam Pereira got dropped during the year
for his defense. Yep, absolutely. I think if I didn't already have 4 really good center wings and want enough to free up cash for Fafita, which is my plan, which I'll talk about soon, I would probably even look at getting Azarko just for the matchup this week and then a hold for the rest of the season. So I like it. I like Azarko. Shit, I'm maybe talking myself into it.
So Mulatalo. So if you're a non-owner, Mulatalo or Azarko this week?
Azarko.
Cool.
Azarko. The problem is you got about 90 grand difference there. So I feel like 90 grand's a pretty big bargaining chip, really, like in terms of the decisions you're going to be making. So
yeah, there's a bit of cash out there, though.
There is. And there's some good enough options.
Scared of interest rates, man. Like, there's a lot of cash.
The RBA's been absolutely bending us over the last. But did you know that there's been a rate freeze? So they haven't put the RBA haven't put the cash rate up this month.
Thanks,
so
Tommy
maybe
Sangster.
we've got a little bit of cash to play with. How good. Oh, what a time. Talking about interest rates on a Supercoach pod. Fuck, we're in good form. If you're not in the Discord, guys, get involved. We talk plenty of Supercoach and NBA fantasy and all the other fantasy sports that you can find. We've just dropped in the comments the link to the Discord as an invite. So jump on in. You can select the sports that you want to get involved in as well. So if you just want NRL, you just choose NRL and you get access to all the NRL Supercoach chat. We've got a really good group of blokes on there as well. Plenty of feedback. You can ask for tips from your team, trade thoughts, Q&A. We do exclusive Q&As in the Discord as well that don't go on Twitter. So plenty of value in there. Jump on in and you get access to our final trades as well.
And if you think we're nuffies, there's plenty of other blokes that just pop on and answer your questions as well. Like honestly, like when you can ask a question and get 6 or 7 different opinions of people in the top 5, 7,000, 10,000, it's pretty good.
It is. Yeah, there's some very switched on guys that are actually ranked higher than us. I think there's a couple of guys ranked in the top like 200. So, good advice. Good advice. Trades, mate. Let's talk trades, captains, and wrap this bad boy up. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so obviously, as mentioned earlier, I was thinking Preston to Young. That's a non-negotiable for me. I owned Hudson Young, dropped him out due to Origin. He's just really somebody I want to finish the year with. Going to free up a bit of cash. I've been a bit frustrated with Billy Smith, as most owners have been. I wasn't 100% sure whether it was enough money to warrant the trade, but with Munro being bottom dollar and playing this week, I'm going to go Billy Smith to Munro. I'd really, while I've got the extra trade on offer this week, I'd really love to get rid of Schuster. I've even toyed with getting Munster, Grant, Fafita in this week just to make next week's decision easier. But knowing my luck, that hurt themselves during Origin. I can go Schuster straight to Mulatalo. So if I really wanted that big jump this week, I could do that. It's just going to kill my loop by the fact that, I could have an AE nightmare in there. I don't know. That means if I go Schuster to Mulatalo, I can't get Fafita in next week. I can't make the money work. I could get in Cam Munster. I could get in Harry Grant, but I just can't make the money work with Fafita and the guys that I have and the guys that I'm comfortable with moving. Probably going to hold Cody this week with his 2 buys in Origin. I'm not 100% sure he's a season keeper now.
Yep.
Look, VC Nico, probably captain Asako.
Yep. Yeah, nice. I like it. I'd do the same if I had Azarko. I'm thinking very similar along the lines of you. Billy Smith out. Now, I'll talk about my first trade first, and that's Preston to Hudson Young. That leaves me after my second trade for Billy Smith I'll go to either Munro or Howarth. So first of all, it's all going to depend on how Nico Hines goes on Thursday. So if Nico comes out and brains it again, which he probably will, let's face it, I will go to, yeah, that's right. I'll go to Howarth. So I only have an even 13 for the week. If he doesn't, by some miracle, gets injured, something happens, HIA, whatever, and he scores poorly, I will get Munro in and have that extra player then to rely on in my best 13, I guess you could say. So I won't then have to worry about AE nightmares and all that kind of shit, because then what I'll do is I'll captain, instead of taking the VC loop on Nico, I'll captain Hopgood. So that's my plan. And then if Nico kills it, I'll just get in Howarth instead and cop the nuff, which is completely fine. I don't need another player there. I don't need Munro to play for me. Probably wouldn't ever play him in my 17. I guess that probably is the determining factor, how Nico goes on Thursday night. And that leaves me with 404K in the bank, which would be, then I can do IPAP to Fafita next week and then decide whether I want Munster or Grant next week and pick one of them.
I like it. That run home for the Storm, like, even though the Storm played, they lost to the Panthers, though. This run home for the Storm is elite. I was 100% going, I am going to rage trade Nick Meaney out at 550K. But then I stopped. I thought about it. I looked at the Storm. Hopefully a week. Nick Meaney's been a bit banged up.
Yeah.
Hopefully he comes out the week off. He'll be all right. Get some attacking stats in these coming weeks. And I might run home with Munster, Harry Grant, and Nick Meaney.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, interesting. I mean, yeah, you're right. You're spot on about the Sharks draw, so I don't hate it at all. A few quick questions before we wrap up, mate. Thoughts on Talakai, Shots is asking. What do you reckon?
No. I think he's done. I won't own him again. I said I won't own him again. There's other guys I would prefer. There's, like, Katoa's cheap. If you're going to take a stab, I would go with probably Katoa. I want Mulatalo. Nikora, I love. Hines. Yeah, I'm not going Talakai. It's, I suppose.
Did you just say he's done?
Yeah, I don't want him.
Okay. He got 82 last week.
Yeah, I know, but they scored 150.
Yeah, still got 82. Ronnie Mulatalo got fucking 86, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He probably got try assists to him.
So, okay. I disagree with you. I reckon Talakai could be a buy. He's 597K. He's a really good pod, sub 5% owned, 4% owned total, which means that, like, he's a guy that you could make a move with and pick over a Mulatalo who's like 60% owned in the top 5% of teams now. I'm going to go with it. I mean, you say no, I say yes. Probably doesn't help Shots too much, but my argument is that I think Talakai...
5,000 spots in front of me?
Yeah, not really. Mate, I try not to wave that around too much, but if you want to bring it up on the pod, that's fine.
Yeah,
Talakai,
look, yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't hate Talakai, but I would... I mean, if you want to get spicy and you're sitting 20,000th or something and you want to make it, or 10,000 and you want to try and get into the top 1K, following the crowd isn't going to work. So Talakai, if you're looking for a bit of a pod there, I don't mind it in a good backline. So Troy was asking, the Rudolph or Gula question is related to draft. So
good, because I was ready to give him a spray and just go, yeah, neither. Gula?
I would say Toby Rudolph would probably have a more prominent role, considering the time he's had in the team and how many middle forwards they have at the Raiders for Gula. Like, I mean, how long is Josh Papali'i out for?
But if he's really looking at Toby Rudolph or Emre Gula, surely it's just a 1 week play. And Emre Gula is playing the Dragons.
Yeah, if it's a 1 week play, take Gula. If you're looking to kind of, if maybe waivers are looking really scarce or something, and you're looking for someone to kind of just ride for the rest of the year, I'd probably go Rudolph.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Nikorima, Handy Jewel? I don't know whether the price is somewhere that I'd want to invest in at the moment. I think maybe he's a little bit out of reach now.
Is it just sub 600 though?
What? 611K for Nikorima. No fucking way am I paying that for him. Sorry. No chance.
Yeah,
Jewel
and
5'8"
the Dolphins haven't been playing real good. Like, he'll play fullback. this week, I would like to think that Uncle Wayne's going to go put Hammer back there. And Nikorima's only going to get a decent spot if JMK's out. Otherwise, he could become an AE nightmare. There is too many question marks around Nikorima for me.
I feel like Nikorima just goes into the halves if he's not at fullback. I don't feel like he'd be an AE nightmare personally. I feel like Sean O'Sullivan and Nikorima would be the halves combination, and Isaiah Katoa will have a break at the back end of the year.
Really, if they're going to be out of the 8 and they start to lose reach, they're not playing Nikorima. They're going to play Katoa and get him some reps. But it's been a long season. The Dolphins are trying to build a team for the future. Nikorima isn't the answer.
Wayne Bennett came out in the preseason and said that the plan was never to play Isaiah Katoa the full season. He said that he was always going to give him some reps, get him some games in first grade, but the plan was never, ever to play him a full season. And I think in listening to a lot of guys, and this isn't my realm at all, but listening to a lot of guys that have either played first grade football or whatever, say that first grade footy is a different level, a different intensity, is a different standard, and playing first grade week in, week out can be really taxing. And on a 19-year-old kid, I feel like if you're playing first grade without a bit of a break, and it's his first full season of first grade, mind you, and he's barely missed a game, I feel like maybe he's due for some resis. Anyway, maybe. I mean, we know as much as fucking anyone else, so
he also loves Milford, so
hey, they've got halves. They've got halves to choose from, so let's just see what happens. Fourth World's asking, Cleese Haas scored 74 last time. He's running off foreign in David Fafita's left edge for this game. Would he be a 1 week play for you and then hopefully nuff out, or is there a risk there he becomes an AE nightmare off the bench?
The AE nightmare is what worries me. I like him. If he was playing this week and then drop back to Queensland Cup, 100% would be chatting about him. I would love to get rid of, what's his name? Harry Edwards. Holy moly. He's getting a bit long in the tooth. I've lost about 60K in him in the last couple of weeks, and I'll probably lose 70 or 80 by the end of it. But
yep.
Look, I would love to do it, but he's going to become an AE nightmare and probably end up being worse than Harry Edwards. So it's a no for me, dog.
Ange is asking thoughts on Max King. So I spoke about Max King last week. Now that he's back in the starting team at prop, I just want to watch his minutes a little bit more. But I mean, people are wanting him for this week. I assume that's why people would want to get him in for the buy. 423K, 45 break even. He played 65 minutes at prop in round 18. So it seems like after going through a period where he played 39, 46, 39, 29, and 43 minutes off the bench, they're now using him back at that kind of 60 to 70 minute mark. He only scored 48, but it was his first game back starting. I don't mind Max King. Everyone was talking about Max King when he was averaging 64.4 at round 7, saying that he was going to be a front row forward keeper.
Yep.
And then he fell off.
I don't hate it. I think all year he's been averaging less than 1 ppm. I suppose he gets 40 minutes, he scores 40. He gets 60 minutes, he gets 60. Just as long as you're comfortable in the fact that he's going to play 60 minutes, then get him in edge. Like it.
Adam's asking, he's got cash to one trade for Feeder in next week, which is a great place to be. But Munro in can give him Nickera as well this week. No brainer. Absolute no brainer. Do it.
Yep. I mean, Nickera and Fafita, you could end the year with them. Fantastic.
Yeah, there'll probably be 2 RF 1 and 2, maybe by the end of the year, those two. So I reckon you have them both for sure. Fangnado is doing Taruva to Mulatalo. Yep. Bit of a no-brainer, I reckon, considering Taruva's not playing this week and probably has topped out in price. Mulatalo playing the Tigers. Like it.
Was Taruva playing last week? I don't know. They kept zooming in on Isaac Tungo.
It's because he doesn't pass to him, mate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. So Jamie sold Harry Grant at 600K to Nikorima at 350. That's very well played. And now they can straight swap back. That is Supercoach at its best.
I really like that.
Very well played. Ange, thoughts on Max King? We just spoke about Max King, so we won't double cover that one.
It wasn't working. That was
there we go.
Ange the
Cool.
dust. Yep.
Perfect. Sorry, updated. Cool. And Justin is asking thoughts on any of the Raiders backs. Timoko, Hopewadi in the mid 400K is juicy against the Dogs. Depending on how many trades you have, I think we said with Raiders right edge, I guess, is going to be nice to target against the Dragons' poor left edge defense. So I like them both.
If you're pretty good at looking at try maps and stuff every week, and we do it on the Discord, if you watch a try map every week and look at teams that are weak against that right side, you could get Timoko at 440k and play him in matchups. And I think that is a brilliant play for the rest.
And let's
of the year.
remember, we've been talking about Hudson Young and how good Hudson Young is and how good the run home for Hudson Young is. Timoko plays on the same fucking team. So he's got a nice run too. The Raiders' edge and the Raiders' wingers and centers are probably good targets. So I don't hate that. I don't hate it at all. Looks like we've come to the end of questions, which is great. Thanks, guys, for hopping on. Plenty of questions coming through and obviously a really big week. So make sure to jump in the Discord if you haven't yet. We'll reveal our final trades. Things might change between now and Thursday. They usually do after about 500 messages between me and Maddie. We end up getting there. But got a really good group in there as well. So jump in the Discord, have a chat. You'll get access to our final trades, and we'll answer questions on a Thursday as well for anybody stuck on their moves. Otherwise, mate, any final words?
You know what? All hail Braden Williami.
What about Hudson Young? I was hoping for something from Hudson Young. You know, that's why I prompted you for it.
I'm not singing again. I'm not singing again.
Bugger. I was hoping we were going to get another song. Thanks, guys. Thanks for hopping on. Good luck this week. We'll be back for the Sunday session on Sunday. We'll catch you then. Good luck.
Cheerio.